Hello, everybody. How are you guys? It's so good to see you all. Hey, Level-Headed. Hey, Jill. Good to see you. Hey, Jamie. Welcome. Hey, Double Rainbows. Good to see you. Hey, Metal Mama. How are you? Hi, Lynn. Hey, Danger Dave. Hey, Rob. Hey, Olivia, too. True Crime Housewife. Hey, Steve. Mrs. Steve. Good to see you both. Hi, John. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Hi, Alicia. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, welcome to the doors. Hi, America True Crime. Hey, Hoosier. How are you? It's good to see you. Hey, Polygraph. Hey, Sees Through. Hey, Never Silent. How are you? Oh, my hair. Sorry. My fan is blowing my hair all over the place. Sorry about that, guys. Hey, Nadia. Oh, True Crime Web, Steve, you're so sweet. Hey, Louisa. Hey, Elbows Mom. So glad you're here. Thank you so much. Hi, SD, Serendipity. Hey, Rose Paradise. Hi, Cheryl Divine. Thank you so much. Hey, Tortor. Thanks. Hey, Justice Serve Daily. Hi, Avondale Mama. Hey, Margaret. Hi, SD. It's always good to see you. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Carla Ann. Nadia Cusin. Hey, Elizabeth. Welcome. Hi, Digital. It's so good to see you too. Welcome to everyone who's here tonight. I am so excited to see you guys, to see you all. It's been a minute. It's really been a minute. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I got an issue going on here with my camera. Just a minute. Gotta fix it, guys. I hate when this happens. My lighting is terrible. Okay, I think I got it, maybe. Holy. Okay. My lighting was bad. Okay, guys. It's good to be back. I really was feeling kind of, I don't know. It was like, just displaced, I guess is the best word for it. I really haven't been doing much about Delphi, reading about Delphi or anything until the last couple of days. I was kind of told to just, hey, Perry, so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And you know what? I have to say, Steve and Hoosier did absolutely amazing, you guys. I have the best friends out there who really check in on me and take care of me. And, when Steve offered to host a show or do a show for me, I jumped at the fact because I was so exhausted from COVID. It was just incredible. And it wasn't even the heart issue. It was COVID that just kind of knocked me for a loop. And all I wanted to do was sleep for those first few days I was home. So I just really appreciate him. And they just did an amazing job. I've gotten nothing but great feedback from people. In fact, I've had people say that Hoosier and Steve's show together was the best conversation they've seen on the internet about the case. And I thought that was really telling to hear that, because the way they went back and forth and bounced things off of each other, it was really, really well done. Just kudos to them. And thank you so much. I love to all of you. But I think I explained everything pretty well in my community post. But for those of you who are new here and don't know, I'm Kristen from Behind the Crime Door. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, Psych 101. Thank you so much. I feel better. Hey, Cheryl Divine. I just had an episode with my heart one night where I had a really rapid heartbeat. It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't go away. It was like 186, 184. And so called 911, got to the hospital by ambulance. They tried with medication by IV in the ambulance to get my heart rate back under control. It worked. It did get my heart rate under control while I was in the emergency room, and they were working on me. They tested me for COVID, and that came back positive. So I did not know at the time that I had COVID, although I did have some stomach upset and nausea that whole day before this happened. But as far as the rapid heartbeat, I've had a lot of people say, oh, that's COVID related. It isn't. I was having the rapid heartbeat symptoms for nearly a year off and on. And I was chalking it up to anxiety or caffeine or something like that, because it would rectify itself so quickly. So anyway, one thing led to another. I was admitted. Once I got up to the regular floor, they were just checking me in and getting me all situated in a room. I hadn't been in the room very long at all. And they had me hooked up. It was a telemetry room. So I was hooked up to a monitor where they could monitor me somewhere else in the hospital, my heart. And I was laying there and it started again. And they ran in. I mean, it was like crazy. People came running to me. They took my bed and me and everything out and took me to the intensive care unit. For 2.5 hours, they worked on me. My heart kept going in and out of the high heart rate. They couldn't get the medicine to get it back under control and keep it there. And it took a while. They finally were able to do it. And so all I can say is that I haven't had an episode since that last one in the ICU. They told me that the medicine that they put me on should keep it under control. Hey, Grismatically, welcome, my dear. And so, hey, Anonymous, so good to see you. Hi, Michelle. So I'm feeling better. I can tell you that my shortness of breath is gone that I was having. I don't feel like that anymore. I was having extreme, just really extreme tiredness and stuff before. I'm not like that anymore either. Now that COVID's gone, I feel like, yeah, polygraph. I know I'm real good at taking care of others and sometimes not so good at taking care of myself. So I am guilty of that. I was already lectured upon lecture by my cardiologist, and he informed me that if that ever happens again, I need to be seen in an emergency room right away. I didn't realize how dangerous it was, but anyway, yeah, it wasn't COVID that caused all my issues. It was the heart issue. COVID was just something that was added on as a bonus. And so that was my first time getting COVID, and they gave me remdesivir in the ICU because they were worried about me having COVID with everything else going on. And I had a much milder case. So I was very lucky. I had no symptoms whatsoever except a headache and being extremely exhausted. I had no cold, no sinus, no nothing, no cough, nothing. So I'm very happy to be back with you guys. It's been a minute, and I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop. I was trying to decide for the last few days what we were going to talk about. I was, yes, Psycho 101. I know. I felt like that too. I just feel like I was like, well, what should we talk about tonight? And there's just so much with Delphi. There's just so much that's been happening. And I wanted to make sure that we just talked about a lot of different things. So it's kind of going to be like an update show on Delphi. And we're going to just talk about a number of different things. If you guys have questions that you want to ask me, please feel free to put those in the chat. I will grab them and I will star them and I will get to them towards the end. Yeah, Avondale Mama, me too. It's the condition is called SVT, or supraventricular tachycardia. And that's the condition that I was diagnosed with. They said I've probably had it since birth and that it is now just rearing its ugly head. So I was happy to hear that medication can control it as well. And I like the fact that we chat back and forth as well, Cheryl. I like, sometimes it's just nice that we all just sit back and have a conversation. I do want to talk about Quinton Simon. We're going to talk about his case. I feel very drawn to his case, extremely. First of all, he's an amazing little boy. Just to look at his smile and his bright, beautiful face. 20 months old. I mean, this child has barely been in the world, 20 months, and he's missing. And if you guys haven't seen or heard about him, we're going to learn about him tonight. My heart breaks for him right now because he's been missing since last Wednesday. Tomorrow it'll be a week. And I just want to say to everybody, when 20-month-olds go missing like that, it's never a good sign. I'm praying that somebody took him. I'm praying that that's what we're looking at here. I'm praying that we're not looking at another situation with Casey Anthony. I just am praying that that's not what we're looking at here. We've got a family dynamic in that house where there's just so many different people. Yeah, exactly. Hi, Crimezilla. Welcome. Hey, CJK. Okay, I'm going to start. Like I said, you guys got questions, just ask them. And I'm going to go ahead and I will star them so that I can go back and find them. And then we'll address your questions as I go along. So, because I want to be able to chat with you. So if you guys have questions or something that you feel that, you want to bring up or whatever, just let me know. I just feel really a lot of energy around this case that we need to get the word out. We need to talk about him. There was an update today in his case, so we're going to talk about that. So there's just a lot. My biggest thing is that 20-month-olds just don't vanish. They just don't go gone. It's just something that just doesn't happen. The other thing I wanted to talk about is there was a recent, excuse me, debate between the two candidates that are running for the Delphi County Sheriff for Carroll County. And I wanted to talk about that last debate that they had. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. So we're going to cover some stuff tonight. And I didn't understand that, Nadia, about them checking the pool, because from the overhead camera of the house, it's a built-in swimming pool. And I'm like, was it that dirty that they couldn't see in it? Why would they have to drain the pool? That just bothered me a little bit. But to see things is just, I don't know. It's really strange. I'm really wondering what's going on there. So let's go ahead and get into his case. I got a lot of stuff for us here to watch. Let me find, I'm trying to find his first. So we can go over the timeline. I want to go over the timeline with you. So basically last Wednesday, let me get his poster up. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, guys. That's different. I gotta find it. Find her. Just give me 1 second, please. Downloads. No. Come on. Let me search and see if I can find it. Here it is. This is what I want to. I want this one. And I want this one. Come on, get over here. Let's put this one up. I want this picture up of him first. This was a picture that someone did on Twitter, and I grabbed it because it's just adorable. Hey, Mrs. Thang, so good to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, no caps, please. It's nothing against you. It's nothing personal, but YouTube does not like capitals. So my Nightbot will make sure that you don't send caps. So just make sure you don't use capitalization. So level-headed, you can find my email right here. So that's a picture of little Quinton. And little Quinton was last seen last Wednesday, October the 5th of 2022. He's white. He's 20 months old. He was wearing a light blue Sesame Street shirt and black pants. He was last seen, and this is from the FBI poster, by the way. He was last seen in his in the area of his home on Bulk Halter Road in Savannah, Georgia. Authorities are requesting the public's assistance with any information related to his whereabouts. And anyone with information regarding this individual is asked to contact the Chatham County Police Department at 912-667-3134 or call 911. Tipsters can remain anonymous. And so that's from his wanted poster with the FBI. Now, yes, Cop Faxx, that is for sure. And especially if you have a kitty that walks around all over your keyboard all the time, like mine does. Boy, sometimes I don't even have to get up and leave my keyboard. All I have to do is just turn and look away, and something happens. So last Wednesday, Quinton lives, let me just preface it this way. Little Quinton lives in a family home with his mother, 2 siblings, a newborn baby sister, and an older brother. A year older, I believe he is, his older brother. And his mother's boyfriend, her mother, and her stepfather, along with her brother. And that's who all lives in this house. Now, it has been said that Quinton's mother has, Leilani, I believe is her name, does not always get along with her parents, with her mother and stepfather. She has been known to lie. She has been known to take money from her mother and use it for drugs. These are the reports that are out there. She did work, and so her older children, the two boys, were always taken to a babysitter, and the babysitter lived close by, and she would watch the boys all day long. Whether she worked or not, every day she had these boys. She'd been watching them, I think she said in her interview, for the last 6 months. Last Wednesday morning, or Tuesday night, I'm sorry, last Tuesday, she had the boys. And the boys were picked up just as normal. Nothing was out of the ordinary. Nobody said anything crazy or weird to her. And she didn't think any more about it. At 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday, October the 5th, she got a text message from Quinton's mother stating that she would not have to babysit that day. And she found that quite odd because that never happens, and nobody had said anything to her the night before. So the babysitter is the person, the babysitter does not live in the home. The babysitter lives elsewhere. So according to the boyfriend of Quinton's mother, he last saw Quinton at 6 o'clock in the morning inside his playpen, inside the Buckhalter home, as he was getting ready to leave for work. Okay? He said he saw him laying in his playpen. The mother does not get up until sometime around 9 a.m. And that's when the police are contacted and he's noticed missing. Around the same time, a phone call is placed to the babysitter asking if she has seen Quinton. And Quinton, she was absolutely floored. She immediately got in her car and drove to the house. And when she got there, she said, you know, what do you mean, have I seen Quinton? You guys told me I didn't have to keep him today. I can help you look for him. And they basically told her no, they didn't need her help. And they were kind of cold and standoffish. And this was Leilani and her boyfriend, Quinton's mother and her boyfriend. So now the other dynamic of this family is that the grandmother, Leilani's mother, has physical custody of the children. Not the new baby that I'm aware of, but at least the boys, the older boys. And so they have been in a really weird place because the day that Quinton goes missing, that is the same day that Leilani got notification from the court that her petition for the petition for child support that she was fighting had been denied. So she was going to have to start paying child support to her mother. And she, I don't think, was happy about that. They got into a fight or an argument over it. Not only that, but Leilani's mother had also gone to court and had an eviction notice served on them, and they were being evicted. So just her daughter and the boyfriend were being evicted, not the children that she had custody of. Now, what I feel about this story, I'm just going to stop and say, because people can say a lot of things about this kind of a case, and we can go, there's so many things that could have happened. I don't want to go there yet because I'm praying to God that Quinton's still with us on this planet. But I find it very odd that a young mother with a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a new baby would be sleeping in until 9 o'clock in the morning. That's the first red flag for me as a mother and a grandmother. Anybody who has small children knows that you don't sleep past 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes you're up sooner than that, and especially with new babies. And these toddlers, they get up early. No matter what time you put them to bed, they get up early. So it seems odd to me that this child would be sleeping in a playpen until 9 o'clock in the morning. That is my first thing. The other red flag that I have for this case, and I always do, this always bothers me, that we have the grandparents on video talking about their grandson and the fact that he's missing and how they don't know if they can believe their daughter or not because she lies to them so much. And so, no, I believe the grandmother works. She, as far as I know, she has a job. So anyway, I just think that is a big red flag. The parents don't trust this daughter. They don't trust what's going on. And so that's another red flag in this case. So anyway, that's what happened. And so the police are notified, and the police are told that he's missing. And the Chatham County Police and the Savannah Police Mounted Patrol, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and a Liberty County Sheriff's Office K-9 team and a mosquito control helicopter take part in his search. They all begin searching for this little boy. They're looking for him outside of the home. Neighbors started assisting in the search as well, without success. They found no sign of him. They closed off Bulkhalter Road and the nearby roads temporarily while they were searching for him. And the police chief, Jeff Hadley, held a press conference on Thursday, October the 6th, saying in part that the police are treating the case as a missing person investigation and that there is no evidence to indicate Quinton is no longer alive. And that was on Thursday, October the 6th. And then WJCL actually spoke to the grandparents. We will watch that in just a minute. On Friday, October the 7th, Chief Hadley provides an update on the case during his regularly scheduled presentation in Chatham County's commissioners. And in court documents obtained by WJCL, it is learned that the grandparents are the ones who have custody of Quinton and that the grandmother was trying to remove the child's mother, Leilani Simon, and her boyfriend, Daniel Youngkin, from the home. According to the grandmother, they had done damage to the home and she wanted them out. Chatham County Police issued a statement reading detectives are working 18 to 20-hour days and some outdoor searches continue, including the search of a pond. Searches are conducted on the home, a backyard pool, and pond. Saturday, October the 8th, the Chatham County Police Department issues a statement saying that the search is continuing and they are not in need of volunteers, and the FBI is still aiding in the investigation. I thought that was interesting when they were saying that they didn't need volunteers anymore. That was something that popped my interest. On Sunday, October 9th, the CCPD issues a statement saying they are canvassing and re-canvassing specific areas in the search for Quinton. The CCPD establishes a tip line for information surrounding the case. And on Monday, October 10th, the Chatham County Police Chief Jeff Hadley held a press conference providing the latest on the investigation. We're going to also watch that. The Chatham Fire Department is called to the home to pump out the backyard pool. This happened yesterday. WJCL requests the initial 911 call placed by Quinton's mom, and the request is denied by the county attorney, citing that there's an ongoing investigation. We want to make sure we do this as professionally and as expertly as we can. So if, and I say if, we have to prosecute anyone in this case, that we have done it right, said Chief Hadley. A 911 dispatch call obtained by WJCL shows that Quinton's mother found the front door open and said she believed someone came in and took him. On Tuesday, October the 11th, the Chatham County Police issue a statement saying that they have seized evidence that they believe will lead to closure in this investigation. It says that they believe that what they have will move this case forward, and we are now working to analyze the evidence to see where it leads us. We continue to pursue all avenues to bring Quinton home, following all leads and evidence. There will be no more further public statements today. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children issued a statement on this case. John Bischoff, the vice president of the division's Missing Children Division, said, as the search for Quinton Simon nears the 1 week mark, we encourage the community to keep sharing Quinton's story. This case has touched the hearts of countless people beyond the Savannah community, and anyone, no matter where you live, can get involved to help find him. Here at the National Center, we know that all it takes is for one person to bring a missing child home, and we will not give up hope until Quinton is found. We're here to support law enforcement as they continue to work diligently to find Quinton and safely bring him home. So here is, we're going to watch the first press conference. Hold on a second here. Let me find it. It's right here. Let me get this over here.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right software to make your streams look really professional can be a real chore.
Good. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Chief Jeff Hadley with the Chatham County Police Department, and we wanted to provide everyone with an update to the extent that we can on the missing Quinton Simon. We have yet to locate little Quinton. We continue to investigate this incident. We've got some assistance from the FBI. We got numerous interviews to conduct today, as well as downloading phones and things of that nature to try to bring this case to a conclusion. It still remains a missing child investigation at this point until we reach a different conclusion based on any evidence that we may find or any updates or developments that we may occur here today. Just to kind of recap what we have done, as you know, we had aviation out here yesterday all day, or half of the day, providing air support. We had mounted patrol from Savannah Police Department, which we sincerely appreciate. We had SEMA and the volunteers doing a grid search, an area search, looking for little Quinton. And as of this morning, we still have yet to locate him. So a lot of work to do. Our investigators are working extremely hard. They were here till 2 o'clock in the morning this morning, and then came back in at 8 o'clock for a briefing and are out here this morning continuing to investigate. So that is unfortunately all the update, substantive update that we have here this morning. I'd be happy to answer a few questions that you may have, and we'll go from there. So.
Chief, is foul play suspected at all in this disappearance?
As of this time, we have not had any evidence to lead us to believe foul play, but everything's on the table, honestly. So we're looking at this from many different angles. We're getting all the technology that we can, looking for cameras that were in the area, things of that nature. So, but as of this interview, we don't have anything of substance that would lead us to believe that. It's still a missing child investigation.
Do you feel like took 3 hours to report the child missing?
I don't know. It took 3 hours to report to the police. I haven't gotten into that level of detail when the mother noticed the child was missing. The only information that I have is that the boyfriend woke up, saw the child at 6 a.m. The mother woke up at some other time later, and then reported the child missing at 9:39. I believe the call came into 911. So the time difference and whatnot, I'm not privy to that level of detail at this second.
From what I understand, much of the morning, typically when it did start getting light out, police weren't out there. Only recently now police are. So why wait, in the precious hours of daylight in the morning to have police out there?
Please restate your question. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What I understood from a reporter on scene, or one of our reporters, there was much of daylight time this morning where police weren't out there. Kind of a little bit. Can you kind of explain?
This morning?
Yeah.
So, well, we had conducted our area grid search yesterday. So we didn't believe that we had exhausted that geographic area where we felt perhaps if he wandered away that he would be in that area. So we wanted to regroup this morning. We were out till 2 o'clock in the morning. Now we're narrowing it down to other small geographic areas, seeing if that would yield, finding Quinton. So we just felt that we had exhausted all of our geographic coverage area with what we did yesterday with the aviation, with the mounted patrol, with our drone, and we didn't feel that would yield anything to be back at that exact location this morning.
How are the parents doing at this point from your perspective?
Well, I haven't talked to them personally. Obviously, they have been working with our detectives. I can only assume that they're, at this point, they're victims. They are dealing with the loss of a child. They're worrying and wondering where he may be at. And so, as any of us, if we were in that position, I would be terrified. Having 6 children of my own, if one of my children were missing, I'd be a mess, quite frankly.
And then follow up to that, does Quinton have any siblings or any other brothers or sisters?
I believe there is an older sibling, maybe a year older or so. I think it's a boy, but I'm not 100% sure.
So that light there yesterday, is that customary, or were there certain aspects of the case that they thought it was necessary for them to
They will continue to help with the investigation. In this type, because it's a missing child, but there's also a potential it could have been abducted. Obviously, that falls within their wheelhouse. They're a great organization to work with. They have an enormous amount of resources that necessarily local law enforcement doesn't have, and their willingness to step in, provide additional manpower, as well as the resources that they have, which it is welcomed beyond belief. So, but because it's a missing and could be an abducted child, that's where it falls within their wheelhouse.
Do you believe Quinton is still be alive?
I hope he's still alive. We don't know. We don't have any information to believe he's not. But statistically, we know, how these cases may end up. So we're going to hold out hope that he's still alive, that we can find him and bring him home safe to his parents. But we'll continue to look at all angles and exhaust all investigative avenues.
What would be the indicators that would push an instant abduction? Like, what would be sort of the cases or the evidence you would need for to go into an abduction type of investigation?
Well, if we received some tip from the community that was substantive, that we could verify, that would lead us to that conclusion. If there was any type of video evidence or cell phone evidence that would lead us to believe in that that it would be that. So that would is what that would be. And let me say, I'm sorry I didn't mention, if anyone has information on Quinton Simon's disappearance, they can get on Chatham County Police Department Crime Tips on our website and put that information in there. They can also call Crime Stoppers at 912-234-2020 with any information that they may have.
Do you have any answers?
I'm not aware of any at this point.
It's my understanding that father lives north of here and is not in house with his own started copying here now with the rest of the family.
I'm not sure if he is here now. It is my understanding that he did live north of here and he was not here during the time of his disappearance.
Do you all have a search warrant for the home access
We did obtain a search warrant for the home. We're also obtaining other search warrants as of today, and we'll continue to execute those once we're able to secure those.
Do you know where the other search warrants are?
I do not.
What's kind of the plan for today in terms of the investigation?
Well, what I want to do is let the investigators do their work today, obtain those search warrants, execute those in a timely manner, probably reassess sometime later today and see where we may need to pivot this investigation. If anything, any information comes out today that yields a different result, leads us in a different direction. But we'll regroup later on today. I want to give my investigators space to go on and do their job. They don't need me in their face every 5 seconds asking them 100 questions. They're very capable, along with the FBI, and we're going to work diligently till we come to a conclusion.
Have you talked with the mother?
I have not, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to watch the interview that WJCL does with Quinton's grandparents, which are Thomas and Billy Joe Howell.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right software to make your...
Right now, the search continues for a missing toddler. 36 hours after he was reportedly last seen by his mother. Our Andy Cole joins us live now from Buckhalter Road in Savannah. And you've been on this story all day. Tell us what's the latest.
Hey, good evening, Greg and Shannon. Investigators were out today searching for 20-month-old Quinton Simon, but still, they have not been able to find him. Earlier today, I did get a chance to check in with his grandparents, who, as you can imagine, are desperate for answers. Do you believe Quinton is still alive?
I hope he's still alive. We don't know. We don't have any information to believe he's not.
Chatham County Police Chief Jeff Hadley is optimistic 20-month-old Quinton Simon is still alive. But as the hours tick by, hope is waning. Quinton's grandparents, Thomas and Billy Joe, say their daughter, Leilani, Quinton's mom, is just 22. And according to court records, Billy is Quinton's custodian.
She hasn't always done the right things. Sometimes she does really great, and sometimes she doesn't. And I don't know what to think right now. I don't know what to believe, because I don't think anybody ever believes that this is going to happen to them. I don't know if I can trust her if I don't. I just know I'm hurting.
We
want this baby home.
We want answers. We don't have answers.
Quinton's grandparents tell me more than anything, they want answers.
Whether it's the answers we want to hear or the answers we don't want to hear, we just want to know something.
It's just a baby.
Home where they all apparently lived last month. We've also learned that Leilani had a child support order filed against her just last week for both Quinton and his 3-year-old sibling. Shannon and Greg.
Andy, tough to hear that interview you did with the grandmother, but so poignant when she talks about the fact that it's just a baby. You've been pressing the police for answers. What's the latest on the investigation?
Yeah, Chatham County's police chief says that they have undergone, quote, multiple interviews today, and they were also working to download the data from Quinton's parents' phones. We'll, of course, keep you updated on air and online as more developments come through. Greg?
And as they're asking anyone with any information about that young child to call 911. Andy, reporting live. Thanks so very much. Right now, the search continues for
the Prime Early Access sale now on. Get early access and feel like a big deal.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let's see. Tip number. So they did update. They did update the information today, and said that they've been using or executing search warrants at the house, at the home, and they did find new evidence, and they seized it at the home, whatever that might have been. And they do believe that this evidence that they found is going to bring us to a conclusion in this case. They also have changed the missing person case to a criminal investigation. That was also announced as well. And let's see what else they said. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much what I said to you guys earlier. You know, they just want to be able to bring him home. They still have not said anything about whether or not they feel there's any foul play. I think everyone is still trying to remain optimistic. But yeah, I mean, whenever you're talking about a child under the age of 2 that goes missing out of a home, you have to worry about all kinds of things. I mean, if for some reason this was a situation where somebody turned their back and this child got out of the house, that is not a good thing. There are all kinds of things out in the elements and in the world. Woods, they have woods around their house. There's a pond. There's just all kinds of things that this child could get into horrific, life-threatening situations very, very quickly. They live on a road. It's I don't know how busy that road is, but I think it's got to be somewhat busy. There's lots of homes along it. So you have to worry about that as well. Obviously, if they've not found anything obvious in their search, which is all a good thing. Yes, Psych 101, Leilani lives currently with her mother and her stepfather. And her mother is the one who has custody over him and his older brother, who's 3. And she had filed a court order to get Leilani to have to pay child support to her. And that was granted last Wednesday when he went missing, the day he went missing. She had found out that day. So that's all we know at this time. I'm going to, I felt that Daisy, that was a red flag as well, for her. I know it seems callous and cold, but children do lose their lives because of money. Parents have taken their lives because they did not want to have to pay support for them. It is horrific. It's hard to even talk about it and to put that into words. I can't understand how anyone could possibly do that, but there is a lot that the babysitter has come out and said. She did an interview, I think somebody said on Facebook. I have not seen it because I really don't follow Facebook much. But she talked about seeing bruises on the boys before. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things we've got to be careful. about just running with, because it's like any other case. You know, if law enforcement doesn't tell us, then we need to be careful about what we are reporting and how we go about talking about it. We have a little boy who is missing. We pray to God that he's still alive and with us, and that somebody has him. At this point in time, if somebody walked into that house and took him, it's not unheard of. We all know it's happened before. It's not common. Your mind and your brain doesn't go that way when you're thinking about it. You're like, nobody's going to walk in the house and just take that child out of a playpen and leave. But it's sad, and we're going to follow this case closely, because I really want Quinton to be brought home. I just can't even imagine if something happened to one of my grandchildren. I already know what it's like to lose my son. I could not, I don't think I could function if something like this was going on. So I'm just going to say lots of prayers for this family. It sounds like they have a lot of issues in this family, more so than just Quinton being missing. When I saw the interview with the babysitter, I do feel she's credible. I believe her. She talks about the fact that she's not blood relation. She's not a relative, but she loves him. She's watched him every day for 6 months, and she's a mess. To think that something has happened to this little boy. So just say your prayers for him, you guys, and hold that family in your heart, because like I said, I just can't. I'm going to put his picture back up so that we can see it. Hold on a minute. I just want everybody to take another look at that precious little boy that we're talking about here. This is little Quinton, and just a cute little boy. You know, he's a tiny little guy. I mean, he's not even 2 years old. And so the daughter, the mother of the little boy, is 22 years old. From what I understand, she now has 3 children. She has a newborn baby. There's pictures of her holding this baby in the house. I saw those on Twitter. And she has a little boy a year older than him. So she's 22 years old. She's out there trying to do what, make a go of it, I'm assuming. She's got a boyfriend. Each one of her children do have different fathers. I believe the new baby that she has, that's the father. Her boyfriend is the father of that child. Quinton's father lives north of Savannah somewhere, but he was not in town or anywhere around when Quinton went missing. Michelle, they already have. The kids' custody is with the grandmother. So it's just, like I said, it's just really tough. Family dynamics are not easy. The courts in this country are they frown upon removing children from their natural parents. They want to do everything in their power to keep kids with their parents. And a lot of times that is not in their best interest. But because of the way the laws are written, it's really difficult sometimes to get kids away from their parents completely. So anyway, I think that this family just has some issues, and we may not know them all yet, because this is just, like I said, the case just started a week ago. But we'll have to wait and see what happens to this little guy. But we're going to keep Quinton in our prayers. So that was that. And the other thing too is I wanted to let you guys know, I don't know if you guys have been following the Jolissa Fuentes case. I posted on the community page this afternoon. What a heartbreaking story. If you guys watched AWP, Adventures with Purpose, they did a whole a video on her because they went to help search for her. Right after Kylie Rodney, after they found Kylie, they went to go search for Jolissa because it was right in the same area where she went missing. And Jolissa had left work at the family owned restaurant that they owned, and was supposed to be coming home, and she also didn't make it home. And she had been, they had searched and searched and searched for her. They had, the last video they had of her was at a convenience store. They saw her going in, they saw her coming out, and then they saw her get in her car and instead of turning the way she would have gone to go home, she turned the opposite direction. And so Jolissa ended up passing away in a car accident on a mountain highway road. So that's how they found her. And they found her deceased. And when Doug and them went to search for her, you know, they searched the bodies of water that were around the area, all of them, because, you know, they wanted to help the family and they wanted to make sure, and they didn't find her. So it's, I think they said that the sheriff went out on his day off and he ran across some tracks from an automobile, and he followed them, and that's how he found her. So yeah, a sad case, but again, it's a case where a lot of people were talking about her being abducted, you know, what happened to her and all of that, and you know, that wasn't the case at all. So we do have to be careful when we hear about these cases, just running with, you know, what we think may have gone on, because I'm the same with Kylie. I mean, I know they haven't completely said, but I'm sure that you guys saw, I posted on my community page this past week, the Gray Hughes video of the footage showing Kylie's car, what appears to be Kylie's car, because it follows the location, it follows the time, going into the water. And it just appears that she drove and made a wrong turn. And, you know, if she'd been drinking and was actually a little drunk or whatever, you can see how easily it would happen. And especially in the dark on a mountain road, so close to the water. I mean, you know, I lived in Colorado. The mountain roads are treacherous and dangerous. You don't want to not be in control when you're on them, because even being in control, they're still extremely dangerous. And you never know when an animal's going to run out in front of you, or if a boulder's going to come down the side of a hill, because that happens a lot out there. It's just, you know, you just have to be really careful. So my heart goes out to Jolissa and her family. I know her sister put out a really gut-wrenching tweet about her sister and how much she's going to miss her. They were best friends. And I'm sorry that that's the closure that they have for her case. But at least they don't have to wait and, you know, 30 years or whatever to figure out what happened to her. At least now they know, and they can give her a proper burial and remember her life. So guys, what do you want to talk about concerning Delphi? One of the things that I wanted to talk about that I didn't get a chance to, we were I was thinking about this. I was talking about this a little bit with True Crime Maria just a couple of days ago. We've been kind of talking, going back through some of the stuff that we deep dove in the beginning of the year after the Anthony Shots. Oh, Teresa, you're welcome. After Anthony Shots, the information was dropped in December. And then soon after we had Denise, what's her name? She was the reporter who finally told us that Anthony Shots was Kagan Klein. Once we found that out, one of the first things that I did was I wanted to find out everything I could about who Kagan Klein was. And the best way to do that was try to go to social media and find his stuff. And at the time, his social media was still up. You could still see his Facebook. And you could still see his dad's Facebook. And I started looking at that stuff. And when I started looking at some of this stuff, it didn't make sense to me why he had listed all of these jobs that he supposedly did, and the fact that he was a bounty hunter in Calabasas, California. That stuck out to me because I had because of the Kardashians living in Calabasas. And I was like, I knew where the area was. And I'm like, man, that is a really, really expensive place. And why the heck would he be there? Hey, Paris, how are you? It's so good to see you here. And so I started thinking about that. And then I was looking at all, he said that he, had gone to blackjack school in December of 2016. And he had all of this stuff that he supposedly was doing. He was working at these casinos and and it just seemed so far-fetched. In fact, when you looked at his Facebook and you looked at the Anthony Shots profile and how Anthony Shots was portraying himself as this rich person, it made a lot of sense to me that what he was saying about himself was completely bogus. Just absolutely not true. I mean, there was no way I believed it. I did not believe that he had done any of that stuff. So I wasn't surprised when the Murder Sheet did the episode where they told us that they had contacted all of these so-called employers, and none of them would verify employment. They all said that they'd never heard of this person and that he never worked for them. And so I thought, well, if he's going to lie about that, what's the purpose? And I thought that it was very interesting that his time stamps on things and his date stamps on things were done in the past, but were actually about things he had done in 2017. But he was posting these in 2018 and 2019. And I'm like, why would you do that? And I started thinking to myself, and Maria and I started talking about it, that, this guy is setting up an alibi of some kind. He is trying to make it look like he was somewhere he wasn't. He's trying to make it look like he has a life somewhere he doesn't. And what would be the purpose of that? I've heard people say that Kagan lives in a dream world. He doesn't live in reality because, he's always thinking or, being rich and famous, and, he worked for all of these bands and did all these things. And I I don't believe he did any of that. I don't think any of us do. I think it's all been debunked, but it speaks to a psyche. It speaks to a person who has some serious mental issues, in my opinion. People just don't do that. I've heard of people who become someone else on the internet. You know, they create a fake name, and they create a fake job, and they live this fake person when they're online, for whatever reason. I've heard of people doing that, but I think Kagan took it far beyond that. I mean, you know, he was really going deep with it, and his dad is involved in it as well. We start looking at Tony's Facebook account, and you start seeing how this was interacting, because his dad out of the blue makes a post about, you know, I'm so proud of my son. I think it was in July or August of 2017. He posted, I'm so proud of my son. He graduated from dealer school. And I'm just like, we all knew he wasn't in dealer school. I mean, looking at it now, but you know, he was even lying for him way back then. And making these strange posts. And you have to ask yourself, what was their purpose of doing this? Why were they doing this? And I have heard a number of different people surrounding the case say, you have to pay attention to what was going on, not only with their Facebook, but with the whole Vegas trip. Those two things are extremely important in this case, because they're very telling. You're not going to change your narrative on your Facebook and talk about these things that are not real and create this fake life because of CSAM. You're just not. I don't believe that for a second, because it's not going to keep you from being caught with the material that you have. So that's what I mean when, why do they do this? What was the reason for it? Well, when you stop and look at that, you have to say, it's got to be Delphi related. And they were trying to get themselves out of town at the time of this crime. They were trying to make it look like Kagan had a life away from Delphi. Kagan was not anywhere near Indiana. He was off in Nevada doing this, and that. And Tony knew it. And this is how this all played out. What I think happened is, for whatever reason, I don't know if they're just not the brightest bulbs in the box or what, but once everybody got wind, and I'm talking about law enforcement, the FBI and everybody, that they had this CSAM when they raided them on the 25th, they did the search warrant of the house. Kagan and Tony didn't drive to Vegas. I can guarantee you they didn't drive. Figured it out because it's a 28-hour drive from Vegas, or from Peru, Indiana to Las Vegas. And that is 28 hours, 28. Let's see. Yeah. I think it's 28 hours and an additional 4. So like 32 hours, I think. And you got to stop and think about how long that is. And they're not going to drive that and then drive that straight back, because they didn't leave for Vegas until after the bridge guy photo came out of the guy on the bridge, and law enforcement asked the public to take a look at this guy, and this was someone that they were interested in and that they wanted to talk to about information that he may have had that day. That was the first thing law enforcement said. And then 2 days later, on the 19th of February, that was on the 17th. On the 19th of February, the police come out and say, this guy is our suspect. This is the guy who we feel is responsible for the murders of Abby and Libby. And after they said that, Tony and Kagan leave town. And they didn't drive. There's no way that they drove because, again, if you're talking 36 hours or 32 hours of driving time, one direction, that's straight through. How much time are you going to have when you get there? Because you have to drive 32 hours straight back home. I don't believe that they drove. I believe that they actually did fly. Tony probably didn't check in for that flight because he was trying to keep under the radar so that people didn't know that they were out of town, maybe. I'm not sure what that was all about, because we did notice when we were going over the Facebook, every single time Tony took a trip and flew somewhere, he always checked in at the airport in Indianapolis. Always checked in and talked about where he was headed. But he didn't do that for this trip to Vegas, which is one reason why people were thinking that they may have driven. But it's just not, there's just not enough time. They were back in town, and on the 25th, they were raided. So if they left on the 20th or 21st, and I believe they left on the 21st, then they were just there a very short time. And again, you have to ask yourself, why? What was the reason, and why did they go to Vegas? What was that choice for? Well, Tony had a good friend in Vegas, a very close friend in Vegas, that would probably put them up and give them lodging, so they wouldn't have to worry about that. Could this person in Vegas also had been a place to possibly leave evidence? Or did they take something that was possibly evidence and leave it in Vegas? I mean, those are questions that I've had for a very long time. And you have to wonder if that's even possible. And I'm sure that law enforcement has thought of that and probably checked all of those angles. But I definitely believe that that trip is important one way or another. Now, there has been speculation that only one of them went on that trip and the other one did not go. But if you remember in the transcripts, there was a lot of things that were talked about, and supposedly, yes, Psych 101, supposedly he did take a day trip to California as well, supposedly. Which that's not that far. So it's not like a huge amount of time, but one of the things that gets me, and one of the questions that I've had, is the whole thing with the evidence. And you know, if they did have something to do with the murders and they were trying to get the heck out of Dodge, you would think that they would take, if they had evidence, they would take it with them. At least you would think, right? So if that's the case, that means that that means that you have to put whatever that evidence is in either a carry-on that you have secured with yourself, or which I don't know how that could possibly happen. We're talking 2017, and you know what security is like at the airports now. So if they flew, it had to have been in checked luggage, because if they had a weapon of any kind, it would have been found in a carry-on. they'd have never got on the plane with it. So, you know, those are things that you can ask yourself about. But I just believe that there is something more to the Vegas trip than what we maybe have focused on. I know that there's been a lot of lying. It's been really hard to tell the truth from the fiction between these two. And if you go back to the transcript and you look at it really closely and you write down the things that are said and the things that are asked, and you kind of break it down into sections about topics, it's a little bit easier to kind of figure out. Yeah, Carla Ann, that's possible as well. Although there's pictures of them with the red Jeep. So it makes you wonder about that. I think that's one of the things that's so hard to understand. Are those pictures out there with the red Jeep, are they from that trip? Or are they from another trip and they just posted them as if it was from that trip? Because you're not going to drive to Vegas in your red Jeep and leave your red Jeep in Vegas, right? You're not going to do that, are you? Somebody said that Tony kept that red Jeep at his parents' house in the garage. I don't know if there's truth to that or not. But it seems that Tony always, whatever vehicle it is that he's driving at the time, he likes to park right out in front of his house. So I'm not sure why that would be either, unless he was trying to hide something. Let's hope that law enforcement was able to track down where that red Jeep went, because he obviously traded it in and got a different Jeep. And I believe he did that in it was either late 2017 or 2018 is when he got a new vehicle. What about DNR? That happened while I was away. So we have, oh, thanks, Brian, for telling me. I did not know that they'd found the Jeep. That's good to know. I'm glad to hear that, because I wonder how quickly they found it. Oh, I love them. I love them. Psych 101, I do. And I used to drink, these are, the ones I have right here it's sparkling ice. But the ones you get from Aldi are like half the price. They're like 69 cents. It's like crazy inexpensive. So I really like them. And I don't know. There's just so much, like I said, there's just so much lying going on between these two. It's hard to know what's what, but I guarantee you that the fact that law enforcement dropped that photograph of Bridge Guy on the bridge and they coincidentally leave suddenly for Vegas, there is a correlation there between that. So I definitely believe that there was a reason why they went. Now, everybody remember in the transcript, there's a picture, or there's a comment where Kagan says that, and maybe this was in the Barbara McDonald interview as well, that, well, S. Wilkes, that happened right before they left. The ski mask incident happened before they left. What was I saying? Kagan makes a point of saying that he wished he would have packed a bag and left. And yes, Metal Mama, the ski mask incident happened after the murders. I want to say it's quite interesting to me, because if what DNR has said, that Kagan confessed to him that he was in this red Jeep, with his dad, and all these things happened. His dad's the one who did this, and he was in the Jeep, and there were clothes or whatever was burned in a burn pit, all the things that have been said. If you look at what Kagan supposedly has said about this, and then you know what he said about wanting to pack a bag and leave, does it make sense that Kagan didn't know what happened in those woods until after it was over? If he was so upset that he wanted to pack a bag while his dad slept and leave, was that because he learned what his father did? Those are things that we have to ask ourselves. He said that for a reason. And again, as Steve has pointed out, I think everyone who has any kind of wherewithal about this case knows that Kagan can't be trusted, that he lies. His Facebook's nothing but a fabrication. The Anthony Schatz account is nothing but a fabrication. But even a good psychologist or psychiatrist will tell you that within lies, there's truth. So you have to be able to kind of delve into that. But I really wonder sometimes if that is not what we're looking at here. And we've got somebody who is frightened of their father, or frightened of something or someone. Because Daisy's right. If his dad threatened him, that would be enough. You wouldn't need a whole lot more if you knew what he done, what he was capable of doing in broad daylight. I think that there's a lot that's there. I know people keep asking about, well, what do you think about the guy on the bridge? What do you think about the guy on the bridge? I don't know about the guy on the bridge, you guys. Honestly, I really don't. There's times when I think that picture is so pixelated and so blown up so that we can see part of what it is because it's so far away that it's not it's just not a good picture. It's not a picture. It's not a photograph. It's something that was pulled off of a video. And that to me makes so many different things happen with that. I've never held much stock in that. And I know that there have been a ton of people that have gone over that and spent hours and hours going over those sketches. I know that. And they've spent hours and hours going over the bridge guy video. But I definitely think just what John said, I do believe that the sketches and the images are misleading. And I also think that they have kept people from really looking at other things that matter in this case. Everybody has been so lost almost in trying to figure out who that guy is on the bridge that we've missed other clues possibly, or other red flags or things that we should be looking at. I know what law enforcement has told us. I also remember when Burston told us that, and how he explained that when you've got a camera and you're taking a picture, that you can only see this portion. You can't see what's outside your frame. You can't see what's behind you. You can't see what's beside you. Your vision is only like this. And I get when he was explaining that, because if you look at that explanation and you watch the reactions of Jerry Holman and the FBI agent in that they were going crazy when he was doing that. I don't think they wanted him to explain that way, because I do think that they may very well be other things that you can see outside of that frame. I know people have said that you can see Abby's arm, possibly. But just because we don't see anybody else with bridge guy on the bridge doesn't mean that there wasn't somebody underneath the bridge waiting, or down by the hill waiting, and came up onto the bridge with them at that time. We don't know. Nobody knows what transpired that day. Law enforcement knows. But we as lay people out here, we have no way of knowing. And there's all kinds of possibilities. So the bridge guy thing, I just try not to focus on as much. I do believe that the captain and Hoosier is who Carla Ann is talking about when they went out to the bridge recently, and the captain just dropped a video about it, and he was able to kind of surmise that more than likely bridge guy could be 6 foot tall. And I love the way he did it. And you have all these camps all over the internet, arguing and fighting about inches, arguing and fighting about bridge guy is not over 5'8". Bridge guy's not over 5'9". Bridge guy's this, bridge guy's that. Nobody knows. I'm just throwing that out there. And there is a reason why there is no height and weight anymore on the wanted posters. And I do believe it's because people were so absolutely set on those numbers that the police and law enforcement said, we're done. We need to take that stuff off because people are not paying attention to what we've asked them to. Doug Carter told us, pay attention to the guy from below the neck down. Don't look at his head. Don't look at that. Look at his gait. Look at his body structure and how he moves. And And it's hard because that video is so short. I think when you look at Bridge Guy, I can easily see a guy who's muscular through the chest and shoulders, easily, in that picture. And we all see something different. It goes back to pareidolia. It all goes back to what you have in your mind and what you want to see. You want to see something, and that's what you're going to see. If you want to see a thin Bridge Guy, that's what's going to Bridge Guy is going to look like to you. If you want to see a Bridge Guy that's a little heavier, more on the chunkier side, that's how he's going to look to you. You can talk to people who have had massive amounts of weight loss, and this is where it is. And they've lost 100 pounds or more, and they'll stand and look at themselves in the mirror, and they still look like the person who has that extra 100 pounds on in their head, in their minds. What they're seeing visually, that's what they see. And it's proven. Jamie, I so understand where you're coming from, because I go back over that all the time. You know, Tobe told us the community will be shocked. And there's nothing shocking about the Kleins. If the Kleins were accused of this crime today and arrested, none of us would be shocked. None of us. So why did they say that? Why did they say that to us? Why would law enforcement tell us something like that? That the community will be shocked? Because that's always bugged me as well. What does that mean? Those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. We have to continue to try to figure out, because those are important questions. They asked us not to do side-by-sides. They asked us not to do those for a reason. Yet people still continued to do it. I've looked at a lot of cases. I did a lot of research on over the last 6 years with this case. I've looked at a lot of cases that have been solved by the sketch and the sketch artist. It's crazy. Not many cases get solved by the sketch. And what's even crazier is a lot of times they don't look anything like the sketch. Of course, there's ones that do, of course, but there's a lot that don't. And it goes back to eyewitness accounts and how we were just talking about all of us sees things differently. You know, I've always used as an example when a woman has a wedding shower or a baby shower, and all us women get together and we're all sitting around, and they bring the bride or they bring the pregnant lady in, and they stand her in the middle of the group and they turn her around, you know, and everything. And then they have her march back out of the room. And then they hand you these pieces of paper with 25 things on it. And you have to answer all these questions about what she was wearing. Did she have on this? Did she, you know, what were her earrings? What's her eye color? All different kinds of questions. And it really goes to show you that when you are an eyewitness to something, if you don't know you're an eyewitness to something, your brain's not paying a doggone bit of attention. You are not gonna remember diddly. And I told you guys my best friend's husband is a judge, and he tells me all the time, he goes, eyewitnesses are the worst. the worst. He goes, because they can't remember, and they remember things wrong. So, yeah, you know, those are realistic things. But I don't know. There's just been a lot going on, a lot of things being said, and a lot of information still being put out there. Is it a good thing that we've got this other con saying all these things that so-called Kagan said? Well, it's kind of corroborating what the murder sheet had put out prior, that they had heard from their source. I guess that it says something. Does it say that this is the same story Kagan's told other people? Possibly. Is it the fact that this person is believable? Why would this person lie about it? You know, when you have people in jail and they're snitching, or whatever you want to call it, when they hear things and they go to law enforcement, they have a number of different motives for doing so. Sometimes it's for their own well-being. They want something in return for telling what they know. I don't know. I guess my feeling is that I thought it was absolutely interesting that it kind of matched up with what the murder sheet source said. So it kind of makes it believable. The murder sheet comes out and says, well, guess what? Our source tells us that there was a warrant served, a search done, and a burn pit at the grandparents' house. For whatever reason, they felt the need to explain at length, and they do every time they talk about it, because they did it on Tom Webster's live stream. For whatever reason, Kevin thinks we're all idiots and don't know what a burn pit is, and spent I don't know how long explaining what one was. I found that quite funny. For those of us who live in the Midwest, and I know for a fact in the South they have them as well, and a lot of farms do. They burn stuff. It's just what they do. They burn their trash rather than have to pay for trash pickup. It's just easier for them to burn it. So it's not uncommon. It may be for people who live in the city. They may have never heard about it, but it's not uncommon. If you live in like I said, in the country or small town, rural America. What else was I going to say? So I find that interesting that they go to the grandparents' house now, almost 6 years later, to search through a burn pit. Why? I think that is really, really interesting. I believe that there is somebody talking to law enforcement. I don't know if it's just Kagan or if it is someone. Psych 101, you're funny. I felt the exact same way. Psych 101 says, I wanted to scream through my headphones. Greenlee's wife didn't know what one was. Burn pit equals bonfire. I swear. I agree, Jamie. I could listen to Tom all day too. Sorry, guys, I have the hiccups. I really think that we have to say at least it on the outside looking in, it looks like DNR is probably credible at this point. Based on what we know, he's credible for at least repeating what Kagan has told others. So it would have to be a very high fire for a zipper to melt. Depending on what the zipper was made of, I guess I should say that. But yeah, it would melt at a high temperature. So the other thing, because Lynn brought it up, Alex Voorhees was interviewed by Fig. What a great interview that was. Leave it up to my good friend Fig. He always gets the best interviews. But I was very impressed with Alex. I always thought hackers were up to no good. I didn't realize that hackers could be good. I guess I didn't think about it that way, because whenever I thought of hacking, I was always thinking of it in the negative sense, and that it wouldn't be being, when you hack, it's not for good reasons. So I'm glad to know that Alex is doing good with what he's been able to glean. The fact that he was able to hack into Kagan's email is amazing. What's even more amazing is that he didn't look at it. The willpower that it must have taken for him not to look was, would have been hard for the average person, because we all want to know. And so, yeah, it would be like being given this document and on this case, and it's got confidential written on all over the top of it, and you're supposed to hold on to it. And yes, I did, Olivia. Thank you. And you're holding on to this document, but you're not supposed to look at it or read it. So I'm glad that he was able to do it, and that he was able to turn it over to law enforcement. Hi, Danita. Thank you so much. I am. So when Fig interviewed Alex, he talked to him about what Alex's thoughts are. I mean, it sounds like Alex has been following the case since about 2020. And he has his own ideas about what may be happening out there or going on out there. And this guy, whoever is doing this is intelligent, because they've gone uncaught for so long. They're under the radar. Again, the whole hiding in plain sight. It's exactly what that means. Exactly what that means. You hide in plain sight. Nobody knows it's you. Nobody knows what you've done. You walk around and you lead your life. You go on with your everyday world as if nothing has happened. And you're able to do that easily. That's how psychopaths and sociopaths operate. They're not like you and I. They don't have these emotions where we would be feeling really guilty, or we would be feeling really paranoid and worried and all of the things. They're not. So, interesting, like I said, interesting interview. Alex has a lot to talk about and bring to the table. I'm glad that Fig did the interview with him and we were able to learn some things. And the fact that he has helped law enforcement, that is amazing. And I know that law enforcement has to appreciate that. It is scary, Teresa. These types of people are extremely scary because we just interact with them. When I had an interview here a few weeks ago with Hoosier cold cases on my channel, he and I talked about sociopaths and we talked about psychopaths and we talked about serial killers. And Hoosier said that, you're going to walk past a serial killer in your life. That is what's scary. And I just, we've all seen them. We've all seen the narcissists. We've all interacted with them. We've interacted with sociopaths. We've probably interacted with psychopaths. I firmly believe that there's some around this case for sure, but I don't understand why people that cover true crime can't do it with more compassion, caring, and feeling for the families. If I had to say what needs to change in true crime, that would be it. I used to always, until I started covering Delphi, I had a whole different perspective on true crime. I would have called myself a true crime fan. I don't think that's very nice. I don't think true crime should be something that you're a fan of. We're talking about people who have had the most horrific things happen to them, murder most often. And we have victims and so I just really feel that, Jamie, it's okay. Yeah, I mentioned Tom Webster. It's okay. I like Tom. I like him a lot, in fact. But I just wish that that's what we could. Sorry, guys, my phone. I thought I silenced my phone. I apologize. That's one of the things that I would like to see happen. And one of the things that Kelsey brought up here in a tweet just this past week was about that very thing, about the covering of true crime and people not recognizing that there are real people behind these cases and real families that are hurting and that are living this every day. And we talk about this in this channel all the time. We do. We talk about the families. We talk about the victims. I hate the fact that Abby and Libby are just known for being murdered. It's why there's times when I talk about the things that they loved, the things that they're missing out on, talking about them as people that lived and had lives and dreams, just for them to be remembered for being murdered is so sad. They were so much more than that. And they were definitely more than that to their families and to their friends. You know, I just watched today. I had my grandson back with me. He's on fall break, and he turns 5 on Thursday. And so today we were watching TV and stuff together, and he was off. We'd finished watching a movie, and he was off doing his thing. And I decided to watch and I highly suggest you guys see it if you haven't, but it's on Hulu. And it is a documentary on the Girl Scout murders from 1977 in Oklahoma. And Kristen Chenoweth is from the little tiny town where this Girl Scout camp was at. And she was the same age as the girls who died. In fact, she went to school with one of the girls. And she didn't know her, but she saw her in the halls. And the documentary is amazingly done. And if you guys aren't aware, 3 young girls, 10, 9, and 8, were murdered inside their tent at this Girl Scout camp in 1977. And as of today, it is still unsolved. However, they did charge someone, took him to court. He was an indigenous American and Cherokee Nation person. And he went to court and was found not guilty. And he was already in jail for 2 rapes and burglary of 2 pregnant women from 1966 is when he did that crime. So he was already in jail for the rest of his life. And when they charged him with this crime. And you need to watch the documentary because it really brings home a lot of what these families go through when these cases don't happen the way everybody thinks it should in a book or in a movie. And what these poor girls' families are still going through today. You're so right, Lipsha. It is so true. We see the best and the worst, and you see that around everything. But what bothers me most about Delphi and the other cases that I've heard it's bad around was the what am I trying to say? The Summer Wells case, these children's cases, these people who get so vile and so graphic and so I just don't understand. I just don't understand. You know, the families watch this. The families are out there, and we don't know how much they pay attention. I know some of the family members pay a whole lot of attention to what's going on. And because of that, we have to take that into account when we are covering this, in my opinion. We are not reporters. We are not credentialed journalists. You know, we're YouTubers, or we're podcasters, or, you know, we write on subreddits, or we have Facebook groups, but we're not quote unquote professionals. And we have to be careful. And those who are professional need to be held at even a higher standard, in my opinion, than we are. So, that's the one thing that bothers me, I think, the most about all of this with this case, and that it continues to kind of haunt. It's one of the reasons why I took time off after I got out of the hospital. My cardiologist knew that I was a YouTuber because they all wanted to know about my wristbands. When I was in the ICU, they were all grabbing them, talking to me about it. Who is this? Why do you have them? And I said, well, I'm a YouTuber and I cover true crime. And so, I told them a little bit about what happened to the Flora sisters, and then what happened to Abby and Libby. And they were all, just heartbroken. And how can you cover this stuff about these girls, these children, these girls and it's like, I told them how I felt like I was, meant to do this. It's like it was a calling of some kind. And I felt that I was supposed to be doing this. And, I understand that people think it's entertainment and they do it for entertainment purposes or whatever. But my feeling on it is, when we're dealing with children, it should never be for entertainment. It should never, ever be that. And that's why I just say, always think before you post, always think before you comment. Because I guarantee you, if the tables were turned, God forbid, and it was you on the other side of the coin, and it was one of your loved ones that had been brutally murdered, and it was a child, you certainly wouldn't want to be reading and seeing some of the stuff that's put out there. I don't think there is any reason to talk about the vile things that may have been done to those girls in the woods. I don't think there's any reason for us to go there. That will all come out eventually. We don't need to be speculating about it now. All that is hurtful to the families to hear. That's just where I'm at with that. So I still will continue to cover Abby and Libby. I mean, it's the reason I'm here. It's why I started my channel. I felt after I started my subreddit Delphi's Daughters, that I could do more. And I was told that I could do more. And I definitely want it solved. And I don't want it to take 40 years. I get the emails that it took me forever to get through my emails. Oh, what I had started to say was, my cardiologist asked me not to be on YouTube for a few days after I got home. He said, what you cover is got to be highly draining and emotional. And he said, you've been through some really taxing stuff, similar to a heart attack with your heart. So you need to take it easy. And so that's why I took the time off to not be here for those 3 shows, because I wanted to be, but I thought that it was in the best interest for me to do that. And it's hard because you do wake up thinking about the case, and you do go to sleep thinking about the case. It's like there's been times when I've been told, Kristen, take a break. You just need to take a break. It's hard to want to take a break because I've covered the case so closely for so long. You don't want to miss out on what might be happening there next, And I have really close friends in this community who will absolutely contact me if something happens. So I knew I was okay from being away from it. But I will tell you that it did bother me a little bit because I felt a little disjointed, because for 5.5 years, I have been in the middle of this, following it crazily. And anyway, hey, Zooter, how are you? It's so good to see you. I just want to see these victims I want to see these victims' stories get shared. It's why my Twitter is all about the missing and all about trying to keep the stories of these people out there. Someone knows. It's just like I said about Quinton tonight. Someone knows. 20-month-olds don't go missing. They just don't go missing. So I'm just saying that somebody knows. Doug Carter has been saying for 5.5 years, somebody knows. Somebody knows what happened to Abby and Libby. And thank you, Joan, very much. And hopefully that person is talking. We can only pray and hope that that's what's happening. I disagree completely with what the murder sheet said when they came out and said that law enforcement didn't find anything in the river. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I don't think they're going to tell us if they found anything in the river. The last thing they want us to know is if they found anything in the river. And you have to remember that. Law enforcement doesn't want the person that they're after to know what they have. They don't want the person that they're after to know what their next move is going to be. All you have to do is talk to anyone in the military, and they're going to tell you when you have a strategy and you're looking at your enemy and you're trying to flank them or come up around them or whatever, you're not going to tell them what your next moves are. That's why everything is so secretive about missions. That's why they're not allowed to talk even to their wives about missions and where or what they're doing next. For that very reason, it puts people's lives at stake. If we share something that we think is breaking news, but it puts law enforcement's lives at risk because whoever's out there that they're trying to capture decides to have a shootout with police because they don't want to be captured, that puts all of law enforcement at risk. It puts other innocents at risk around the area wherever this person is at. It puts witnesses at risk that may have already spoken about this person. There's just so many things that can happen. This isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And if you listen to Steve and you listen to Perry, who have many, many, many years on the force, cop Faxx in almost every position you can imagine on a force, he's going to tell you that doing that kind of thing can actually injure people. Not just the case, but it can put people's lives in danger that do not need to be. So we have to report, we have to cover things with ethics, and also there's times when it's a good time to just shut up and not say anything. So it's just important, for all of us as creators that are out there creating this content for our subscribers. I love my community. I love you guys. I'm glad that you're here with me for my shows and that you stick around and you talk, you comment, you email me. We have great discourse in here. But when it is something that jeopardizes the case and lives, it's not worth it, you guys. It's just not worth it. And I've heard so many people say, well, we have a right to know as the public. We do not have any right to know. Not now. It's an ongoing investigation. We have no rights. None. If anybody has rights, it's Mike and Becky and Carrie and Derek. Those are the people who have rights. And Anna. I mean, it's just, it's funny how what people think their rights are in this world. Joan, I don't know, but I'm assuming that law enforcement has checked into that, and they have their bank records. Yeah, Teresa, exactly. We don't own the cases. These cases are not ours. You know, these are not our family members. You know, yeah, it's the family. And honestly, if I had information that I was going to put out there that I thought in any way, shape, or form would hurt them, I would contact them first and I would ask them, I'm going to do a show about this. Do you want me to talk about it? And if they told me no, they would prefer that I not, I would definitely not. Because I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to re-victimize them. I don't want them to have to relive any more than they relive every day. Not because of me. That's for sure. But you guys, it's been great. I've been here with you now for 2 hours. Let's see. I only saw really one. I think I answered most of the questions as they were coming through, but CJK did say, I do have a question about a bizarre YouTube video I saw where some guy said Bridge Guy wore a gas mask. He used spray chemicals and other weird stuff, that the girls were trespassing while geocaching. Did you see that? No, I did not see that, because I usually don't watch those kinds of YouTubers. Now, I don't think that Bridge Guy was wearing a gas mask. I know that anything is possible, but I just don't think so. And I don't think that, I just don't think so. Oh, Joan, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. There was a neighbor who went to Vegas with Kagan. His mother was interviewed. His granddaughter went as well. They told her they were going to Colorado, but ended up in Vegas. When was that? Yeah, Lipsha, you're right. The families don't owe us a damn thing. They don't. And it's what we owe them, we owe the families. The families don't owe us. We owe the families to be compassionate, to be honest in how we report the story about their loved ones, and to not sensationalize it for views and clicks and all of that. We just have to be careful about how we discuss it and how we portray it. Thanks, S. Wilkes. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Carla Ann, thank you so much. You guys are great. I really enjoyed it tonight. I missed you guys so much. It's just funny. I mean, I wanted you guys to know it's been 8 months. 8 months since I started my channel. I can't believe it's been 8 months. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers. If you would have asked me 8 months ago, I would have thought maybe 200 or 300. I'm serious. I just didn't know how this was going to go. And to know that I have this community that comes here, that cares about me, you guys just absolutely touched my heart in a way I can't even describe when I was in the hospital. Like I told you, you guys praying for me, and all of the good wishes and everything. My daughter was reading those to me when I was in intensive care, letting me know what people were saying. And it really just made me feel wonderful. And I thank you for that. It really makes me happy to know that you guys are out there. And I'm glad too, Daisy. Let me tell you guys, COVID is no joke. Absolutely no joke. And I don't want it again. I'm here to say. So I'm glad it took me this long to get it. I was worried about it with my asthma, but I did really well with it. So I got through it. They helped me get through it, I'm sure. And now I feel like a whole new person, and I do feel good. So guys, don't remember to like and subscribe to my videos. That's how you can help me the most. If you're wanting to help me in the work that I do here, it gets me into YouTube's algorithm so that my videos get seen. So people can share Abby and Libby's story, Quinton's story, and whoever's story that I'm covering, the Flora 4. It's really important. So like and share my videos, and you can also donate to me through PayPal. A lot of people did that while I was in the hospital, and I thank you so very much. That helps me with my subscriptions and all the things that I do when I'm putting stuff together for the channel. And you can just give me a coffee or a tea. I don't drink coffee, but I love tea. So you can just buy me a tea, and that's great. I love those. It's so nice to have those. But those are ways that you can support me, and you can support my channel. And just by being here is the support enough for me. It's just, like I said, you guys don't think that I don't appreciate you. My moderators, I can't say enough about you. You guys come here each and every show and spend your time here with me, making sure my chat is doing the right thing and what it, what's supposed to be happening. And I appreciate that, because you don't have to do it. So I appreciate my moderators as well. And I hope the rest of you have a good evening. And I will see you guys on Thursday night. And make sure that you check out the new video by the captain if you haven't already, because it's really amazing. And Hoosier Cold Cases was with him, and it's really worth watching. And make sure you check out the documentary on Hulu. It's called The Keeper of the Ashes, the Girl Scout murders. Lynn, you are so wonderful. I saw them, and you're so amazing. Thank you so very much, Lynn. I appreciate you like you wouldn't imagine. I just do. And all of you guys, I wonder why it's not showing. There you go. All of you guys who sent me the emails with the prayers and all of it, I appreciate those as well. You're very welcome, Teresa. I love to discuss the cases and make it safe in here for everyone. So it'll always be safe as long as I have anything to say about it. I'm not into the drama. I don't want to be a part of the drama. And this is a drama-free zone. So anyway, love to you all. I will see you all on Sunday. Have a good evening. And I will talk to you all later. Good night, everybody.